Hello, hello, all you dungeon dozens out there. It is your resident Ooze, the Latin Cube Janitor, coming at you live from the Void Keep Depths Neferia, keeping things tidy, keeping things clean, and getting ready to do some bicep curls, apparently. Hoping everyone's doing alright. Zork, it's good to see you. Stormy, also good to see you as well. I'm hoping you both are having a lovely day. So let's go ahead and get ourselves into the tavern for today's agenda. Hello. Oh, well, have a little bit of some scuff with that. Really quick, before I do anything, I'm going to go ahead and do those 10 bicep curls really fast. One moment. Hey, really quick. Let's go. Six, seven, 8, 9, 10. Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that, Stormy. We'll start shouting people out here. If you guys aren't following Zork, Zork is one of my good friends, a longtime friend at that. He is the goat demon butler of the tower, who plays Star Ocean Second Story, League of Legends, and has also been playing Persona 3 Reloaded as well. If you do like some really good content and a very nice creator at that, I would definitely give Zork some follows and affection. Oh, the scuff is starting. It was supposed to be at the chair, no. Fine. Thank you very much for the head pat there, Umbral. Figure out how to chat. Okay. We'll try that and see if it fixes anything. I'm not sure. The mix it up would be able to play nicely with the with it, but we'll find out. But thanks for the head pats there, Umbral. Appreciate you. Oh, yes. Today, today we are going to be doing something a little bit different, as you can plainly see in the background. I pull myself out and over towards the chair now. But we're going to do something a little different today. And with that, we're actually going to be doing a little bit of a read through of Lancer and a little bit more of the lore there, which should be a lot of fun. Lancer, for those that are not familiar with the game, Zork is actually running a campaign for me, Sleem VT. Hello, Toxie. It's good to see you. Hoping you're having a good day. But Zork is running a campaign for me, Sleem VT, Ray Norvac, Ivy Onimura, and Matt Dampier, and playing. We're actually playing his campaign for Lancer as well. So figured I might as well. I do want to do a game myself, and I figured it might be cool to talk a little bit about the game, talk a little bit about the story of Lancer, and also maybe run through some character creation to see if people might like that. I'm hiding in the shadows, lol. It's -4 with wind gusts of 30 miles per hour, Berg, so we're fucked. Oh no. Meerkat, it's good to see you there, buddy, and welcome in. I have quite a few people I need to shout out at them here. And I'll go ahead and give a shout out to Stormy. Stormy is a variety streamer over there with the Meg Quinners and Catley crew. Her, along with the others, along with Meerkat, and a lot of shenanigans and hijinks galore. Stormy actually plays a lot of Phasmophobia, Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, and like. If you like some good variety content, a very chill bean, but also a very chaotic one at that, that'd be very much appreciated. Thank you, Ooze. You're way better than any average rodents here. Fair, fair. Appreciate that, Stormy. I'm hoping everyone's doing all right. I'm gonna switch the song because it kind of is not exactly what I'm looking. As much as I like the sound of this, go. There we go. Singularities. Oh, what was that? That song was intense. It really was. I'm trying to go for more of a chill vibe for this one. That's okay. Yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit about Lancer, which is, in my opinion, one of, if not my favorite role playing game that I've played tabletop wise, which is saying a lot. Because I came from a background of playing Dungeons and Dragons and also Pathfinder. Like, those were my jam back in the day. I love those to bits. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I love Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder to bits. But, as far as games are concerned, this one, Lancer, might be my favorite tabletop game for a number of reasons. It's a very easy to understand system. Sci-fi is also a big thing. I'm a big fan of robots and also just like other things like that. But overall, just the modularity of the system, a lot of the player agency that this has, the ease of character creation, and even not having to be pigeonholed to like a character type or being able to not role play depending on what you make for your character is also a big thing for, because it is a very nice crunchy system, but it also has some simplified methods to it that I actually very much appreciate. So we'll go into a little bit here. I'm still going to be giving some shout outs to the folks in here because I do want to. So one of the other folks that just stopped by and gave me a head pat, that would be our very own Umbral Gray. If you guys aren't following Umbral is an Arachne Wizard VTuber and artist. She actually makes a lot of wonderful illustrations for VTubers and other art as well. If you do want a really cool person to be able to do some artwork for you, make some illustrations from your torso up or full body, she is definitely your girl. You can actually give some love and affection and cash over to her on her VGen, and she'll be able to make some really cool commissions for you. Definitely 100% would recommend. But if you could give some follows over to Umbral, that'd also be very much appreciated. And I will also give a shout out to Toxie Croissant. Croissant indeed. It does start very simple and then goes into what the fuck is going on. Yeah, no, this game has potential to get into interesting topics because of the nature of this being like 5,000 years in the future. Actually, more like 10,000 from. But it's a unique experience. I think one that would lend itself well to this. So we're gonna go diving right in. Read a little bit here. I'll go through some more shout outs as I do so too. I think I can probably give a shout out to our girl Toxie. I think so. I have to wait 27 seconds. That's fine. We'll go ahead and let's start reading into this here for a moment. There's a lot. It does have a few hundred pages. Thankfully, most of this talks about the mechs. We actually start into the getting started, like the introduction to this, building your pilots and mechs, and being able to talk a little bit about mech combat and missions. And that's covered over the first, like, few dozen pages, which is pretty nice. We'll be able to go into that, talk a little bit about the game, read a little bit of the lore. I think this will be a nice bit. I have the physical book, and it is thick. It is a thick book. It is a thick book, and I like that for it. But thankfully for the players, the only real sections you guys need to worry about are the first few here, and like maybe looking into the compendium for like very unique and very specific loadout questions. GM's Toolkit for us GMs who like being the people that make the story. We can look into this part, and you will get a little bit more of a hands-on section for this. This is going to be broken up into a few streams, I would say, because we'll go through the entire book just to help out here. But I'm at it. If you guys aren't following Toxie Cupcake, she is a baddie witch streamer herself. She is one of my favorite people, I would say, from McMeg Quinners. Save for like McMeg, Quinn, Catley, Stormy, Meerkat, and all of them. I guess I could say that maybe they're all my favorite folks over there. Can I just say Ooze has one of the most soothing voices? I appreciate that. But just to give some affection over to Toxie. Toxie is a very lovely individual. She is Mommy Toxie for a lot of the folks that know her nickname, but she's a very sweet bean, moderates for quite a few of the McMeg and Catley folk too, and does a lot of work for them, but she also streams, loves horror games, and other things like that. So if you give some follows over to Toxie, that'd be very much appreciated. And how's it going, Kazume? We're having a good day. We're getting into a little bit of game stuff here, and this is a little bit interesting with the song choice, but we'll go right into it. This book, Abaddon, the creator of this, like, has some really good stuff. Okay, but I'm the favorite of favorites. Kazume, welcome in. So let's go ahead and get started. So right here, we're going into section 0, and we're going to talk about quack quack indeed. So, go ahead and start this off. This is a good choice for this song. Let's go ahead and talk. Introduction. It is 5016 U, and the galaxy is home to trillions. At the core of humanity's territory, there is a golden age, but outside of this newly won utopia, the revolutionary project continues. You are a Lancer, an exceptional mech pilot among already exceptional peers, and you live in a time where the future hangs as a spinning coin at the apex of its toss. The fall is coming. How the coin lands is yet to be determined. Excuse me while my fall takes place and I do some push-ups. Ah, no! That scared me up. It's gonna be like that this stream. Let me go ahead and do those sit-ups and hammer curls. Yeah, one moment. Hammers. Three. 4. 5. 7. 8. 9. 10. Whew, okay. I don't think it's not that she doesn't like JoJo. I think that was just very scary for her. And also give a quick shout out to Kazume as well. Kazume is also a variety streamer and also a friend of the McMeg Quins. Whoop. Oh, I'm going on to here. Oops. Oh, I see what happened. Hold on. Be right back. Oop. Okay. There we go. It's back in. Hopefully that didn't, like, I don't think that doxed me or anything like that, but still. If you guys aren't following Kazume, Kazume is also a variety streamer and friend of the McMcQuinners. If you're not following Kazume, you're doing yourself a big disservice. Whew. Take off my. There we go. Okay. Where was I? Right. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna bring the thing. Flawless Theory, which is one of my favorite songs. Space 2. Thanks for the shout out, Ooze. No problem, Cosme. Where was I? So, for now, from our humble beginnings, humanity has spread out among and between the stars for thousands of years. We have set empty worlds and barren moons alight with civilization, named asteroids and gas giants, even built lives in the hard vacuum of space itself. We have taken root in our arm of the Milky Way. Life, in its infinite diversity, thrives and expands. For some, life in this time is as a river, forever moving, with the land and time of their birth left somewhere far behind. For most, life is spent on their homeworld, moon or station, linked to the rest of humanity via fantastic technologies, or isolated to the politics, stories, and histories of their own land. I'll do that southern accent. The trillions that make up humanity live, for the most part, as you or I do now. But wonders tie the galaxy together in this age. Connecting all worlds is Blink Space, a unknowably vast and strange plane parallel to the one in which we live, pierced by blink gates that allow us to travel with speed and safety. Thanks to these massive starbound doors, every corner of space is open to the daring. These portals are common wonders. Thousands of ships travel through them every day, seeking trade, migration, travel, war, and myriad other aims. Filling the lonely void is the OmniNet, a data-sharing network built off the Blink that connects every computer, every server, everything to everything else. The OmniNet is much more than a way to send messages or a means for people on far-flung worlds to read the galaxy's news. It overlays all human communications, facilitating government, industry, culture, and realms more esoteric still. Data is a new wealth, and the OmniNet means that all wealth can be shared. The form of that wealth is mana, uniting the disparate nations of the human diaspora outside the core. Mana is the universal currency accepted by every market on every planet. The galaxy's wealth of raw resources are available for exploitation. A community's wealth comes from both its past and its potential. The vast mass of humanity is administered by a single sprawling government union. Galactic hegemony. Luna and Mars, Mercury and Venus, Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune, and Uranus, Phobos and Deimos, Io, Europa, Ganymede and Callisto, Titan and Enceladus. These worlds strung in their orbit around Sol are the diadem atop which Cradle rests, seat of union's power in humanity's ancient heart. Welcome in, Luna. Luna, it's a good time to see you there, girl. I'm hoping you're having yourself a good night. Our very favorite croissant goddess. Currently, I'm doing southern accent ooze at the moment, so I will apologize if I am just coming in with that drawl there. But it's good to see you, Luna. Raiders, welcome in, and hope y'all are having a good day at that. If you guys aren't following Luna, Luna is, without doubt, one of my favorite croissant goddesses of all time. She does a lot of great art in terms of her channel, is always on her tablet, just making some of the best digital art you can possibly see from here to the state of New York, at least. And with that, she makes some wonderful and fabulous things. Does character art, illustrations, PNG, tubers, you name it. You'll be able to enjoy yourselves and also be able to enjoy a little bit. If you want to go over to her VGen, you can always get her commissions. She actually puts them at a very modest price and is a very, very reasonable individual too. Oh, Stormy, it's good to have you in here, and I do hope that you have a good rest of your day. You take care now, okay? Narites, it's good to see you. Thank you very much for that. Now, how was the rest of your stream there, Luna? I remember I was popping in there a little bit just watching you guys while you were doing some art, doing some Sephiroth art, and then you were playing some Overwatch. Is that right? Check something here while I have your name. It was so fun to play Overwatch with my friends. We mostly steamrolled. That's always a good. Been a while since I last played Overwatch, but I do hope they enjoyed some good games and also some good shooting at that as well, Tex. But if you do need to stream and run, I totally understand. If you do want to get yourself a glass of water, give yourself some nice stream aftercare, that's always appreciated. But I do thank you so much for sharing your community and just coming on in here. I'm also going to give a shout out to our own Narides underscore VT, who is a friend of Luna's and who I saw give a chat message as part of that raid. But if you aren't following Narides, Narides is a snail VTuber who was turned into a snail about 3,000 years ago and got better. But often streams over on his channel, playing a few different games, and is a variety streamer. So if you could give him some follows and some love, that'd be very much appreciated. Ooze making me feel like I'm back home. Are you from the Midwest, or sorry, the Central America there, closer to Texas and other things like that in the South? I hope it's at least a good voice I'm doing for that. But we'll go ahead and keep going with our lore spill in the meantime. We're reading a little bit of Lancer at the moment. Go ahead and talk about this. We were talking a little bit about the worlds that make up Cradle. Union, the galactic hegemon. Luna and Mars, Mercury and Venus, Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune and Uranus, Phobos and Deimos, Io, Europa, Ganymede and Callisto, Titan and Enceladus. These worlds strung their orbit around Sol are the diadem atop which Cradle rests, the seat of Union's power in humanity's ancient heart. From Cradle, Union controls the three levers of the galaxy, the Blink Gates, Omninet, and Mana. Without these levers and without Union, the galaxy would fall into chaos. Union is a new kind of utopia, a new state, communal and post-capital, for a new humanity. Union was born from the ashes and ice of the fall, the collapse that felled old humanity, boiling Cradle and withering her colonies entirely. Though it has been thousands of years since Union was founded, and thousands more since the fall, new humanity knows only one truth among 10,000 unknowns. If we are to survive, then we must come together in solidarity and mutual aid. Despite Union's conviction and despite its successes so far, the sheer size of this collective project is daunting. Union is distant to most people, fictionalized in omninet dramas and novels, dreamed about by children and wanderers, hailed as the promised kingdom or damned as a pit by religions across the galaxy. For all its authority, Union prefers to rule from a distance. Few have ever seen one Union's administrators, let alone suffered one of its naval campaigns. Oh, thank you very much for the follow there, Amelia Rose Jordan. Appreciate you very much. Enjoy your free emotes as well, and I do thank you very much for coming into the Void Keep Depths. Now that you're part here, just mind your step. It does get a little bit on the sticky side every now and then. You have ever seen one of Union's administrators, let alone suffered one of its naval campaigns? For those who have never seen its flag, Union is all but a myth. For those whose skies have been darkened by Union ships, the hegemony may have brought liberty, but it brought death first. Galaxy remains a dangerous place outside the core. Rebellions, insurrections, piracy, wars, civil and interplanetary. Uh-huh. Oh boy. Well, I'm so sorry about that. I don't want to have to say this, but unfortunately, that is gonna be a no from me, and I will go ahead and probably ban you because that's not what we want to have done here. Sorry there, friend. Appreciate you, but we don't take that in the middle of the chat here. All right. Well, cum see, cum sa, as it appears. Ah, well. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue on with this. So, rebellions, insurrections, piracy wars, civil and interplanetary continue to flare and burn their way through space, though only the most desperate conflicts require Union's intervention. Disputes between Union subject states are common enough that there is still a need for militaries, militias, and mercenaries. 5 major suppliers offer arms and armor to states and entities outside the core that desire them. These manufacturers exist in delicate balance with the Union. Though the administrators regulate and the suppliers comply, these two philosophies, one of post capital utopia and the other of permanent and wild growth, rush toward an irreconcilable end. Oop, going a little bit too far out. You are one person, alive in this time of tumult and peace, a time of promise that was built on the sacrifice of those who have came before and is threatened still by the heirs of old adversaries. You are one whose life is lived in the great river, where lives across stars and time, where one person in the right place at the right time can divert the course of history, where the collective action of comrades can save worlds, lives, and better define Union's utopian dream. You are a mech pilot, one of the best, a lancer, and yours is the story of the spinning coin at the apex of its toss. At this pivotal moment in history, what will you and your comrades do when fate, foresight, and luck, good or bad, puts you in the right place at the right time? On which side you fall? I'll go ahead and switch back to my regular voice. Your character in the world of Lancer is a mechanized cavalry pilot of particular note, a Lancer. Whatever the mission, whatever the terrain, whatever the enemy, your character is the one who is called in to break the siege or hold the line. When the drop klaxons sound, it's up to them to save the day. Your pilot hails from a world and culture of your choice, but is human. They might come from Earth or Cradle, as it is now called, but to hail from Earth in the age of Union is exceedingly rare. No, it is far more likely that your pilot hails from somewhere in the vastness of the human diaspora. Lancer, it has been millennia since we left Earth, and most of humanity lives among the stars in our arm of the Milky Way. This humanity is familiar and strange in equal measure. As far as we know, the only sentient sapient beings in our stellar neighborhood are other humans. But don't take this as a limitation. There are many roads to becoming a Lancer. Your character might be the product of significant technological and capital investment on the part of their employers, or they could be a born prodigy, a wonderkind who commands a mech with innate grace and ability, perhaps discovered by a secretive recruiter. Your character might be a lucky conscript, a battle-proven draftee who managed to survive their first drop, promoted by desperate commanders looking for a hero. They could also be the scion of an ancient atemporal monarchy destined to inherit the chassis of their poly-patriarch. Your character could be a jaded volunteer from a Union Liberator team, motivated by a closely guarded ember of hope for a better future, or anointed loyal wing of the Albatross, or a facsimile of a long-dead pilot grown in batches of thousands, a spacer who has spent too long listening to the deep whispers of the void. Whatever led your character to the cockpit of their mech, they are the sum of many parts, enhanced through a combination of training, natural skill, battlefield experience, and neural or physical augmentation. Lancer is the equivalent of a knight of old, a flying ace, or another class of lead. Lancers, many proudly declare, are a cut above other pilots. Entirely wrong. The recruitment, training, and maintenance of a mech pilot demand the investment of much more time and capital than your average soldier. To operate a mech at peak efficiency, a pilot needs extensive physical and mental training or advanced and expensive physiological and ontological augmentations. Washout and injury rates are high thanks to the demanding training process, but a high bar is necessary. Once a candidate attains their final certifications and ships out to their first mission posting, they face only the most dangerous missions. Mechs aren't sent in to keep the peace, they're sent in when all other options have failed. Your character, Lancer, represents the best of this exceptional corps. Remember, whatever their history, your pilot is ultimately human. They're just as flawed as the rest of us, just as perfect. Pilots are heroes and villains, brave souls and cowards, lovers and fighters all. Some of them stand strong when everyone else runs, or are the first to face danger, our best and brightest. But they too break under the pressure. They fail, kill, even when they could have spared life. Pilots are from all walks of life. Every station, criminal history, and economic class is represented. Go ahead and get into playing Lancer. Your character in Lancer is, first and foremost, a pilot, a dynamic, larger-than-life presence on and off the battlefield who inspires and terrifies in equal measure. But your character also has a second component, your mech. Though you can define their identities separately, pilot and mech are two parts of the same whole. The first section of this book talks to you through building pilots and mechs. The second section, missions, uptime, and downtime, is about narrative play, choosing missions, and playing during downtime. The third section, mech combat, is about fighting in and with mechs. The fourth section is a compendium in which all character options can be found. The fifth section is the Game Master's Guide, which offers advice for tweaking rules, creating non-player characters, and running missions. The sixth and final section is the Setting Guide, an in-depth reference on the canon setting. Let's talk about what you guys need for playing a Lancer. The game uses two sorts of dice, 20-sided dice, and 6-sided dice as well. Roll these dice to determine the outcome of uncertain situations, such as firing a weapon, hacking a computer, or climbing a sheer cliff face. When the rules call for you to make a roll, it will tell you how many dice to roll. For example, 1d20 means you roll a single d20, whereas 2d6 means you roll 2d6. Sometimes the rule will call you to roll for a 1d3, and that's just a shorthand way of saying you should roll 1d6 and have the results, rounding up. And when you're called on to roll a d3, a result of 1 or 2 on the d6 equals 1, 3, or 4. 1, 3, or 4 equals 2, and 5, or 6 equals 3. Lancers best played with 3 to 6 players, but can be played with as little as 2 or as many as you feel comfortable with. The player needs at least 1d20. Oh, the hello from Zork, yeah. Yep, Zork is a lovable bean. Let's see. So each player needs at least 1d20, a number of d6s, and some paper or a character sheet to write down information. If you're playing online or welcome computers at the table, the CompCon character building tool is recommended. We'll get into that in a little bit. The game makes use of a grid-based tactical combat, so it can be helpful to have paper with square or hexagonal grids, such as graph paper or pre-prepared battle maps. Pictures aren't necessary to play this game, but they can sometimes make combat easier to visualize. Most of the players take on the role of pilots. These player characters are PCs, but one player is the Game Master or GM, which I tend to fall under more often than not. GM acts as a narrative guide, facilitator, and arbitrator of the game's rules. They help create the story and narrative your group will explore and portray all of the NPCs. For more information on the GM rules, blah blah blah, Finally, we recommend that all players download our free companion app, CompCon. It isn't necessary to have the app to play the game, but can make it more accessible to players who aren't able to or don't wish to thumb through this book. There are 2 golden rules to remember when reading this book and playing Lancer. The rules override general statements and rules. For example, when you shoot an enemy, your role is normally influenced by whether they're in cover. Our weapons with a seeking tag ignore cover because the seeking tag is a specific rule. It supersedes the general rules governing cover. And 2, always round up to the nearest whole number. We'll go ahead and switch gears because I do want to show you what is probably one of my favorite things about this for those that are just learning Lancer and want a very nice, easy head start. This CompCon is going to be one of your best friends. CompCon, or compcon.app/#. This allows you to make your characters with the basic rules in the game. Easy enough. You can go into pilot roster, create a new pilot. It'll show you everything from the basic rules of how to get started. It has all the mechs that are inside the Lancer core rulebook. You can be able to see them plainly here. Very simple, easy, makes it super easy to be able to set yourself up. And it gives you all the mechs from the main four manufacturers. Talk a little bit more about them at a later time, but this is a very handy website and app you can download to be able to make your Lancer experience a much easier and very smooth. So I definitely would recommend it. We'll talk a little bit about different content that you can add in to enhance your Lancer play, though. Let's go ahead and get back into more of the rules. So, narrative play and mech combat. Lancer makes a distinction between free-form narrative play and mech combat. Tracking individual turns and actions is important. During narrative play, players act naturally and spontaneously as needed. Time might pass more quickly, scenes might be shorter, and individual roles might count for more or less. Game's story and interaction between characters will take place during narrative play. Mech combat, players act on their turn and are restricted in what they can do and how often, making each action much more impactful and tactical. Swapping between mecha combat and narrative play is fairly natural, especially if you've played other games with a turn-based combat. One thing that I do like about this game is that you don't have to build your character to only be good at combat or to only be good at role-playing, because your mech is, generally speaking, going to be most combat. Your character is used for role-playing. You pretty much are made so that way you can be able to do good in both this game, which is very, very important, I think, compared to D&D, where unless you have a very certain build, you don't really get to have that much impact on the role-playing side or make role-playing rules here and there. But some caveats with that. The reason there are 2 types of play is that they represent different approaches to RPG storytelling. 1, narrative play is focused on the story and characters with a rules-light approach to conflict resolution. The other, mech combat, relies more on rules and tactics, like a board game. Depending on your GM and group of players, you could spend a whole session one type of play or the other, or with some of both. Neither of these is the correct way to play the game. Groups will find a balance between the 2 that works for them. Lancer provides rules for both, that both people who like to explore stories or who enjoy tactical combat will have an enjoyable experience. Alright, so the fun stuff with Lancer. 3 types of dice rolls in Lancer. You got your skill checks, attacks, and saving throws. Most of the time, you're only going to really need to worry about skill checks if you're in the narrative portion of the game. In combat, you will mainly use everything, like all 3 with that. So, you can make skill checks when your character is in a challenging or tense situation that requires effort to overcome. You want to act in such a situation, state your objective, break down the door, decrypt the data, or sweet talk the guard, then roll 1d20 and add any relevant bonuses. This is where it gets a little bit interesting, because for my folks that might be playing Dungeons & Dragons, They do have a little bit more of a fail forward style way of this game. A little bit more on that lean. Still, you can fail big time on. On a total of 10 plus, you succeed. As a result of 9 or less means you fail to accomplish your goal and may suffer consequences as a result. Although the GM can't change the target number, which is normally 10, they have access to several tools that are explained later, such as declaring a skill challenge or deciding that your action is difficult or risky. Mech combat, simple enough. Attacks are offensive actions against other characters, like firing a weapon or hacking to an opponent's mech. Attack rolls are similar to skill checks. You roll a d20, add any bonuses. Target number isn't always 10, though. It usually depends on the defensive capabilities of your target. For an attack to be successful or hit, it needs to exceed or equal the target's defense. And some attacks also result in critical hits if you roll 20 plus, which allow you to deal more damage or trigger extra effects. Here's a cool thing about Lancer. Crits, for the most part, for my D&D folks out there, I'm going to just really quickly pull up a dice. So if we're rolling a d20, and we have like a d6 accuracy and maybe like some bonus, I'll say we'll have like a 4. So if we have a d20 rolling with accuracy, so we would have +4, we get an 11, that's a fine roll. If at all, or any time you roll, not going to look like it's going to give me that option here. Here we go. So with this, I have a +4 bonus onto my roll. I rolled a d20, which got a 12, and I got a 4, which adds another benefit or another bonus onto that, totaling 20. Because I totaled 20, that often means that I crit that roll instead of having to roll like a natural 20 in that particular regard. So all you have to do in order to crit in Lancer, get a critical effect, is you have to add up your modifiers, and if you roll and get to a 20 or above, that would be considered a critical success in this game. A little bit different considering most other games will have it where, you have to roll a nat 20 in order to crit or something like that. This one actually is a little bit more lenient on you getting that bigger effect. You just gotta have the right stacking modifiers. And of course, you gotta just roll good. That's another thing, but we'll talk about that later. All right. But go with this. So, although there are different types of attacks, including ranged, melee, and tech attacks, they all use the same basic rules described here. Lastly, saves or rolls made to avoid or resist negative effects in mech combat. Might roll a save to prevent a hacker wrecking your systems, to avoid being blinded by a flash grenade, or to dive away from an explosion. To save, you roll 1d20, add any bonuses, but the target number can differ from 10 as it can with attacks. Target number for a save usually depends on the abilities of the attacker. If you equal or exceed this number, you succeed. If your roll is lower, you fail. The outcome of each result will depend on what you're trying to avoid. Sometimes you'll get contested checks, as my usual folks that play TTRPG attest to. Contested checks represent a challenge between two parties. Contested check, both participants make skill checks, add any bonuses. Whoever has the highest result wins. If the result is a tie, the attacker, the one who initiated the contest, wins. You might make contested checks in both narrative play and mech combat, depending on if you're dealing with enemies, maybe even other players, depending on. And another little nice thing about this, you can always choose to fail a skill check or save. You might do this if an ally is trying to help you out, or even just because you think failing would create a more interesting story. A little bit of an interesting thing with that. I gotta let my cat out 1 second. Okay. Now, there's a few different types of bonuses. Stat bonuses that give you more of just a very hard increase to a roll, like a numerical one. And then you got accuracy and difficulty. Accuracy and difficulty represent momentary advantages or disadvantages. And with that, stat bonuses also come from three sources: your pilot's talent, experience, which are triggers, their skill with mechs, which are mech skills, and then their own grit. Each roll can benefit from one stat bonus at a time. In many cases, none of these bonuses will apply, and you'll just roll a 1d. But let's talk about accuracy and difficulty. Accuracy and difficulty are temporary modifiers gained and lost in rapid, chaotic moments of action. Example: two mech pilots, equally matched, duel amidst the shifting debris of a shattered frigate. Attempting to land a shot, they dodge to avoid incoming fire and floating, slagged bulkheads. The debris makes it unlikely that either will land a hit. However, one of the pilots, thinking quickly, hides among the floating metal. When their enemy gets close, the pilot springs forth from hiding and catches their opponent unaware, making the shot much more easier. Situations like this can cause pilots to gain accuracy or difficulty. Each point of accuracy adds a d6 to a roll. Each point of difficulty subtracts a d6 to a roll. And accuracy and difficulty cancel each other out on a one basis. So, if you're lucky enough to be rolling several of the same bonus die, whether accuracy or difficulty, you don't add them together to determine the result. Instead, find the highest number rolled and apply it to the final result. Because of this, no roll can ever receive more than -6 or +6 from accuracy or difficulty. Now, what does that mean here? So if you ever are rolling like 6 or more accuracy or difficulty, it's usually assumed that you can pretty much just get that +6 or get that -6 too. Nya-tailed waifu. Oh, I get to do this. Okay. Hold on 1 second. This is a momentous occasion. I actually get to out favorite Kitsune V. Alright, so for those who aren't aware, it's good to see you as well. Thank you for coming in, just hopping into the channel here. There. So Nya-tailed waifu, or Dayu, is a Kitsune streamer. She's a very sweet bean, and she likes to play quite a few different games. She was playing Monster Hunter most recently yesterday with her friends, and also plays a lot of For the King as well, and other variety games too. Streams quite a bit in the morning and also the evening. Actually, sometimes can stream like in the same day as well, playing like other horror games and RPGs. But she's definitely a sweet bean, definitely worth the follows and love. If you could follow Nya-tailed waifu, that'd be very much appreciated. I'm just a silly. No, you're not. You're a good friend, and I do appreciate you. And it's always good to see you. And Galaxy, good to see you too, buddy. Yeah. Welcome in. Thanks very much for the first time chat. But yeah, I'm doing okay. We're actually doing just a little bit of, I guess you could probably call this a dissertation. We're actually reading through the Lancer core rulebook, learning a little bit about the rules, talking a bit about the game, and also probably gonna be doing some character creation in a little bit as well. I think I've actually been streaming for about an hour. Like, reading definitely does feel like it goes through quite a bit my mental process. But I'm hoping you're having a good day. I hope all's well. Sorry I was busy. I came with Luna's raid. Also seems very interesting. Yeah, well, thank you very much there, Galaxy. I appreciate you. Excited to hear more about it. Yeah, it's an interesting one. We went through a bit more of like the like a bit more of like what you are as a character in this. and are talking a little bit more about the light rules. If you'd like to stay and listen, I'm just going to be going through them here, just talking about the different roles and other things like that. And in a little bit, I believe we'll actually be getting more into building pilots and mechs. That's actually going to be pretty good. Let's talk. We did a bit of that. Talk about grit. Pilots are lucky and unique individuals, multi talented and resilient, and so brand new pilots don't measure up to tempered, battle hardened veterans when push comes to shove. The benefits of experience are measured by grit, a bonus that reflects your pilot's deep reservoirs of resolve and will to live. Grit is half of your character's license level rounded up, improves attack bonuses, hit points, and save targets for both your pilot and your mech. Missions, downtimes, and scenes. Ongoing games of Lancer are usually divided into missions, each of which might encompass one play session or several, separated by periods of downtime. Missions have specific goals or objectives that can be completed within a discrete amount of time, destroying a building, breaking into a secure facility to recover vital data, evacuating civilians, uncovering a conspiracy, or holding the line against enemy attacks, for example. Missions also provide some preparation time which you can establish goals, stakes, and equipment for your characters. The character isn't on a mission, you're in downtime. There's a narrative space between missions in which moment-to-moment action doesn't matter as much, and role-playing matters much more. During downtime, you can progress plots, projects, or personal stories, moving the clock forward as much or as little as you want. Days, months, and even years can pass in downtime depending on the pace of your game. Both missions and downtime play is divided into scenes. A scene is a period of continuous dialogue or action, or activity that has a discrete starting and stopping point. This is called a scene because it's helpful to think about it in cinematic terms. As long as the focus or camera is on the players and their action, the scene is happening. When the focus cuts away from the current scene or the current action naturally ends, that's when the end or the scene should end too. Single combat encountered or dialogue between characters are both great examples of scenes. A scene can also be something like a montage. Important to pay attention to the beginning and end of scenes, as many special character and mech abilities end or reset the end of a scene. But with this, just to talk a little bit about your characters, it's good to think of Lancer almost like Starship Troopers, or for my fellows that like to play the game just like I do, Helldivers. You guys, when you're on the ship, just chilling, doing your little like checks and balances here and there, that would be the downtime. Your missions are when you touch down on a planet, you start doing some cool stuff like, I don't know, destroying a hatchery of eggs, loading up the ICBM to nuke an area as well, or just dealing with other objectives would be the mission portion of this. So it is very much divided into those kind of streams. Let's go ahead and talk a bit about building pilots and mechs. So, it wouldn't be a game about mechs if you didn't level up and gained really cool gear because of it. License levels. Unlike in other role-playing games, in Lancer you don't need to track currency. Money isn't really an object in this game. We could make it one, don't have to. Your access to mechs, gear, upgrades, talents, and other character options are instead restricted by licenses. Licenses represent access to the valuable information, resources, and access required to acquire mech gear and parts. They're tightly controlled by the major powers in Lancer and allow their holders unlimited access to their included gear. In Lancer, your pilot progresses by completing missions and gaining license levels, LL. The license level applies to both your pilot and your mech. As you level up, both parts of your character become stronger and gain access to more advanced gear and combat techniques. Increasing it allows you to unlock new manufacturer licenses, opening the door to exclusive gear and mechs. Leveling up also allows your pilot to improve their triggers, mech skills, and grit, and lets you choose talents to further customize your playstyle. So a new pilot typically starts at level license level 0, an experienced rookie, and levels up to license level 1 after their first mission. Then again after each subsequent mission to a maximum of license level 12. This section includes a lot of information that is expounded upon later in the book. Feel free to skip over it for now and reference back when needed. If this is your first time reading through the book, we'll still be going through. But license level 0, new players should usually create a character at this level. Even at this level, your pilot has access to an extensive range of bonuses and so if you're at license level 0, you get a background, which provides bonuses on skill checks. You got your pilot triggers, mech skills, talents, and everything from the general massive systems, as well as the GMS SP1 Everest, your very, very first. Once you level up or complete a mission, whether you succeed or failed, the license level increases by 1, and you get to add in more skill triggers, mech skills, talents, and a license rank to actually spend more on your different stuff. That's actually pretty cool. Something nice about this game is that when you do level up, once you get to a certain level, half of your pilot's total rounded up actually gets your grit, which means that you improve your base stats and everything too. And then after you get your third license level, and every 3 levels thereafter, like 3, 6, 9, 12, you get a core bonus, which is a very big improvement on all the mechs that you build. One thing that's really nice is that you can, every time you level up in this game, you actually have the option to reallocate your points from your talents, reallocate your points from your licenses, or replace core bonuses as well. You can actually retrofit and reallocate your different levels to rebuild your character even as you're leveling up, which is a nice little added benefit and a nice quality of life feature. I know with like D&D, it can be a bit more challenging. You do want to go more into the narrative thing, or like maybe changing up your character. Lancer does make it so that way it eases you every time you level up in the game, because you only got 12 levels. You can see a few different examples of Lancers, all with their own unique style, unique kind of manufacturer that they might be representing, different tags, all of them Lancers though through. Let's talk about the pilot. Your pilot is the person inside the machine, character's entire career you'll be playing out. Lancers are generally interesting people. If they weren't, you probably wouldn't be playing them though. As you create your character, you'll be able to figure out who they are and what makes them so interesting. Creating your pilot is a fairly simple process. To begin with, you just need to choose background and 4 triggers. After that, you can figure out your pilot's other bonuses, statistics, gear before embarking on a mission. If you guys would like to also pull up your CompCon, this is a good time if you guys want to follow along with me. We'll be going through a bit of character creation and talking a little bit about how to build your character and what you're looking for. Pilots. Go to your pilot roster, create a new pilot, and we can actually start filling in a few of these details here. CompCon does have it where a few like nice things. You can have the name of your character randomized, or you can pick one for yourself. You also have a call sign. Call signs, if you want to think about call signs as far as like maybe even air pilot terms, a call sign is a nickname, or a name that either was given to you or maybe that just stuck with you as far as the nickname is concerned, that people know you by and sets you apart from the other pilots. Like, for instance, from the Ace Combat series, if you play that, one of the main characters, his call sign is Trigger, just because he is a bit of a loose cannon and more often than not shoots first, asks questions later. You can do that. Click on the background. You can actually pick from a list of these predetermined backgrounds here just to build out your character, but you can pick any number of skill triggers from them. We'll go over a little bit about the different backgrounds you could have, and you can also even make your own background too. This back into stuff here. So, backgrounds. Your pilot's background describes their life before they became a pilot. It doesn't necessarily determine your pilot's current role. Indeed, your pilot might reject their old lives, wanting nothing to do with their history, even as it affects them in the present. But it tells your GM and fellow players a bit about who they were prior to entering, which is always an important thing. A background is a prompt to draw on when imagining your pilot's full. How did your pilot first become a soldier? Or, along with that, a doctor or miner? And from there, how did they become the lancer that they are? Creating a character, you can choose a background from the list below, choose one randomly from the list by rolling a d20, or just make one up yourself. Totally fine, totally fair, just now, outside of combat, you or the GM can invoke your pilot's background to receive one accuracy or one difficulty on a skill check if their background is relevant. For example, someone who has colonist background might get a +1 when negotiating with other colonists, navigating the wilderness, or farming. Character born in space, however, might get a difficulty when doing the same things. If there is any disagreement, the rest of the group, excluding both yourself and the GM, arbitrates. If the other players can't reach a consensus, the person who invoked the background decides. We got quite a few: celebrity, colonist, criminal, far-field team, hacker, mechanic, medic, mercenary, NHP specialist, noble outlaw, penal colonist, priest, scientist, soldier, spaceborne, spec ops, super soldier, starship pilot, and worker. And a little bit of a forward, there's all these little, lore bits here, maybe a little bit of guidance for the game. Like this little bit on diasporan. To be a diasporan is to be a member of the largest class of humanity, world-bound people outside the galactic core who would identify with single home worlds they may never leave. Diasporans make up the vast bulk of the human population settled and left to develop on their own during the first and second expansion periods. The diaspora includes everyone from the people of worlds proximal to the core through the worlds that have lived without, or have never known Union's presence for thousands of years. And all the societies in between. The aspirin worlds can be covered in glittering or stinking metro swaths, mixed urban space, wide ecological preserves, Arcadian paradises, or lonely terrestrial barrens. Any places humans or groups of humans can live. Better or for worse, diaspora is what people see when they think of humanity. That actually goes a little bit into these different, options. I'll read a few of them, but I'll just try and read like one and then maybe go into the. For a more classic Western flavor, see the outlaw background is thing, like the criminal. Take any triggers, or you can pick other ones if you choose. The example triggers that a criminal could have would be threaten, apply fists to faces, word on the street, take control. One of those options would be you're a criminal, small time, master, or something in between. Did you work for corporate clients, criminal organization, self? Did you mug pedestrians in the dark underbelly of a massive city, or did you slip unnoticed into corporate databases to steal data? Did you do it for personal gain or just to feed your family? How did you find yourself in this life, and how did you become a pilot? Did you operate with a code of honor? Were you loyal to a single family, a small crew, or a politician, or an ideology? Did you operate in the shadows, or was your work carried out in the daylight, unafraid of consequences? There must be a reason you decided to get out. Was it a bad job, or maybe witness protection? Are your former employers or crew still around? What connections they have, and how they feel about you? What, if anything, haunts you? So a lot of these backgrounds, it goes over these questions you might want to answer for yourself when you're making your character for this game. Generally speaking, this is just my own personal taste. When I'm running a game, I like to have at least a paragraph or two for my players to describe who they were, who they are right now, what are they doing, and what are they looking to do in the future. Just to get a full understanding of that and any characters that they might have some effect on their past. Because I usually will lace that in roleplay and also create stories based on. which is helpful. It's definitely helpful if you're playing in a role-playing game to have these kind of questions for your character and also have answers. Going a little lore tangent, Cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan is a person who lives the majority of their life in interstellar transit and ship as their home. They'll travel in Lancer occurs at or near the speed of light. Existence at this relative speed necessarily means that cosmopolitan humans live outside of the course of real time. For the humans of diaspora and the core, these cosmopolitans almost seem eternal, seeming to live for generations. The histories, stories, and cultures of cosmopolitans are separate from the bulk of humanity, their lives defined in relation and contrast to the windows of time they witness when they drop out of near. To observers, the cosmopolitan life might seem lonely or ahistorical, but cosmopolitans have rich and storied histories, shared culture, and a vision of humanity as a whole that few others have access to or the ability to witness. Because space travel is such a prevalent thing in this, there are communities of the cosmopolitan individuals that live throughout the galaxy. If you can think of it almost like elves in the way, where they're just outside of just the normal area, like in fantasy, and they perceive time than others. So if you want to think of it like that, cosmopolitans are people that live in these kind of more areas. Albatross would be one member of the cosmopolitan like factions there, because Albatross, they're members of a knighthood that go to distant areas, tracking down, beacons of emergency and trying to help people, and then going to light speeds to a different place, forsaking and forswearing all their usual bonds, and then coming back and seeing that thousands of people die before. Cosmopolitan life is interesting. Definitely something you can try out if you play Lancer campaign as a cosmopolitan. Think about that. So we'll read the little section about NHP. You are closely involved in the study, creation, or maintenance of a prime non-human person. Non-human persons, or NHPs, are complex artificial intelligences. As a prime NHP, the one you were associated with was even more complex than most. Did you interact with that entity like a scientist or engineer, or more like a priest or shaman? Do you have a personal connection to them after all this time? How do clones of that NHP perceive you? And now that you're a pilot, how do you feel about non-human intelligence? And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, what the heck is an NHP? What is a non-human person? Talk about that. NHPs. NHP stands for non-human person, a name given to uncanny, incorporeal, parallel space beings, most of which were discovered and developed following the manifestation of Monist One, or Ra, though some have been created since then. NHPs fill the role once occupied by machine mind AIs. Under supervision, they manage whole cities and systems, work alongside scientists and engineers, and act as companions and co-pilots for mech pilots and starship captains. They are black box paracausal entities. Their promulgation, tightly controlled and monitored by Union, but their use is widespread. NHPs are increasingly regarded as fundamental infrastructure for any successful civic, scientific, or military endeavor. NHPs are what you would call, are what would be the replacement for artificial intelligence. They're not AI themselves, though. That is a very, very distinct difference. But they are beings that live in this different kind of space. They can also live in data constructs. And with that, they actually can take on a lot of the functions for many different machines, cities, hive worlds. You could probably find many. So, no other story beats there. That's fine. We'll just go on and we'll continue along with the triggers. So, as you've taken your background, let's go into the trigger here. Central character in the story, your pilot will have moments of background, training, and personality shine through. These moments are your pilot's triggers, short phrases that describe key decisions and actions like apply fist to faces or get somewhere fast. Triggers are always accompanied by a bonus of +2, +4, or +6. When one of your character's triggers is relevant to a skill check, you get a bonus to the roll. For example, you have a +2 to apply fist to faces written on your sheet. Anytime your character acts in a way that could be construed as applying fist to faces, you get +2 to the skill check. You can only receive a bonus from one skill trigger at a time. Triggers apply to actions that depend on your pilot's personal abilities, experience, training, or background, not actions that rely on mech specifications. When taking actions that rely on a mech skills are used instead. Now, triggers are almost always used in narrative play. They never apply to attack rolls, saves, or any rolls other than skill checks. Triggers are usually fairly open-ended, allowing you to apply them in creative ways. That said, the GM, usually me, is responsible for arbitrating outlandish claims. Be prepared to justify how your apply fist to faces trigger helps you hack into an electronic network. Now, if you want to just try slamming a computer or hitting a computer to get it to work, you could definitely talk to me about that. Definitely try and see if you can pull up a different relevant skill trigger beforehand, though. So, tracking triggers, you only need to write down the triggers your pilot currently has, choosing 4 triggers at license level 0. You might end up with a list like this. You might have Threaten +2, Get Somewhere Fast +2, Leader Inspire +2, and Spot +2. Or you might write them as +2 to Threaten, Get Somewhere Fast, Leader Inspire, and Spot. That's it. When you're making skill checks without triggers, just know you don't need to have that trigger to make the skill check. You can always roll a d20 with no bonuses against a target number of 10 and see if I will let that happen, which is fine. You could even make new triggers just as well. With GM approval, you can write down your own triggers. Custom triggers can be more specific than the examples in the book. Kill in cold blood or in salt zone, for instance, shouldn't be more general. They should always apply to a specific circumstance or action. So we'll go through the skill triggers here if you guys want to follow along and just put your +2s into each of them. If you're building a license level 0 character, talk about it. So act unseen or unheard, get somewhere or do something without detection, but not necessarily quickly, hide, sneak, or move quietly. Infiltrate a facility while avoiding patrols and cameras, perform sleight of hand without being seen or heard. Apply fist to faces, punch someone in the face, or fight in open, brutal, unarmed combat, whether it's a fist fight or martial arts duel. Assault, take part in direct and overt combat, fight your way through a building packed with hostile mercenaries, trade shots over rain-slick trenches, fight in chaotic microgravity as part of a boarding action. Blow something up, use explosives, improvised or otherwise, weapons, or good old-fashioned brawn, to totally wreck something or turn it into an enormous fireball. Pretty self-explanatory. Charm, convince a receptive audience to use leverage, money, power, personal benefit to get your way. Smooth talk your way past guards, get people on your own side, sway potential benefactors, etc., etc. Get a hold of something, acquire temporary or permanent allies, assets, or connections through wealth or social influence, or obtain information, food, materials, or soldiers. You can start to see how a lot of these have very general means of what they could be, which is pretty good. Get somewhere quickly and without complications, but not necessarily quietly. Climb, drive, pilot, swim, or perform acrobatic maneuvers to take a more dangerous shortcut. Hack or fix, repair a device or faulty system, alternatively hack it wide open, totally wreck, disable, or sabotage it. Invent or create, use tools and supplies to design or build something, either on the fly or over time. Investigate, research a subject, or study something in great detail, learn about a subject of historical relevance, or become well-read on a particular issue. Lead or inspire, give an inspiring speech or motivate a group of people into action, efficiently and effectively administer organizations like companies, ship crews, group of colonists for mining ventures. Patch, apply medical knowledge to medicate, bandage a wound, staunch bleeding, suture, cauterize, neutralize poison, etc. Pull rank, pull rank on a subordinate, get information or resources or aid from them, maybe even against our will, or anytime you're trying to coerce or convince someone who might respect your authority. Read a situation, look for subtext, motives, or threats in a situation or person, use intuition to discern someone's motivations, learn who's really in charge, or find out about who's doing something rash or stupid. Show off, do something flashy, cool, or impressive, usually, but not exclusively, with your weapon. Shoot a tiny or rapidly moving target. Knock someone out by throwing a gun at them. Perform an acrobatic flourish with a sword. You get it. You name it from there. Spot. Spot details, objects, or people that are hidden or difficult to make out. Notice ambushes, hidden compartments, or disguised individuals. Spy on targets from a distance. Stay cool. Perform tasks that requires concentration, dexterity, speed, or precision under pressure. Pick a lock while your squad trades fires with encroaching guards. Carefully disarm an explosive or unjam a gun under fire. Survive. Persevere through harsh, hostile, or unforgiving environments. Vacuum of space, frozen tundra, pirate enclave. Survival often also involves journeys through the wilderness, navigation, or avoiding natural hazards like carnivorous wildlife, rockfalls, thin ice, or lava fields. Take control. Use force, violence, presence of will, or direct action to take control of something. The thing you take control of will usually be something concrete, like an object someone's holding, a gun, or a key card. Take someone out. Kill or disable someone quickly and quietly, up close and personal from a distance, probably before they even notice you're there. You're looking down a sniper scope at a target, preparing to knock out a guard with a strategic nerve pinch. That usually would be take someone out. Threaten, use force or threats to make someone do what you want. Name what you want someone to do, and you're going to do what you're going to do to them if they don't listen to you. And then word on the street, get gossip, news, or hearsay from the streets or from a particular social scene. So, talked a little bit about the skill triggers, talked a little bit about characters, talk a little bit about the stats you get just by making your pilot. So you will play mostly as your pilot in narrative play outside of their mechs. But there are times you'll need to know how your pilot functions in mech combat. They might need to bail out of their mech during a fight, or you might want to track your pilot's HP if they get injured during downtime. Although pilots operate on a different scale to mechs, they have some of the same statistics: size, HP, evasion, E-defense, and speed. Let's talk about that. Size is how much space a character takes up on the battlefield. HP is how much damage a character can take before they go down. Evasion is how hard it is to hit a character with a weapon. E-defense is how hard it is to hit a character with electronic systems like hacking. And speed is how many spaces a character can. Now that, pilots have the following traits. When you're outside of your mech, your HP is 6 plus your grit. Size is half. Evasion is 10. E-defense is 10. Speed is 4. And their traits, especially their HP, might also change if you're wearing armor. So if you followed everything that I've said so far, make your character, you choose a background, choose your triggers, you're going to choose 4 of them. Write down your pilot's combat statistics, and you'll also be able to choose the gear that your pilot will come with them on their own person. So you can have a piece of armor, up to 2 weapons, and 3 other pieces of pilot gear if you're following through top cut. But enough about pilots. Let's talk about what we're here for, the mechs specifically. So what we got here is a example mech. This is actually a Monarch. Shows a little bit about how mech itself is usually set up. You got your usual chassis, all the different servo functions and everything there that power it up. You got your weapons. Cockpit usually around the core middle here where you're presently placed. Let's talk a little bit about mechs. Mechanized cavalry units. Mechs are the primary armored agents around which many states, agencies, and militaries base their ground forces. On their chassis, mechs stand anything from 3 to 15 meters tall. They're almost always bi, quadru, or hexapedal, and the majority have either one or two sets of arms capable of manipulating weapons and interacting with the environment. So that armor, like, I posted a lot of gifs of armored core and stuff, because truth be told, that's pretty much like what you can expect the mechs to be like for this as well. But some pilots prefer their mech's weapon system be built directly into the chassis, and in some cases, depending on the system's size and power, kind of integration might be a necessity. Most mechs are controlled by a single pilot, but some larger, highly advanced platforms might require additional crew. That's probably going to be more along the lines of bosses, but we'll see. Mechs are agile, quick, and responsive machines for their size. They can traverse most solid and vacuum environments, and their mobility is often augmented by or dependent on maneuvering jets. Still, they're heavy and reliant on internal cold fusion generators for power. Mech power plants are heavily shielded, reliable, and basically inexhaustible, but should a reactor be compromised, the results are catastrophic. So, little bit of information regarding the mechs. You are piloting, for all intents and purposes, a walking nuclear cold fusion reactor. And if your mech overheats, there is a possibility that that reactor could go into a meltdown and cause a nuclear explosion. Kind of like in Gundam Wing, like whenever the mechs are blown apart or anything like that. And that's regardless of size, mind you. So mechs can be, size 1, size 2, size 3, or about the size half of like powered armor, just like, for yourself. They can explode. And explode in very, very horrifying and very big ways at that. Be mindful. So, mechs are common enough in construction, hazardous material cleanups, exploration, other roles that don't shock the average person. Oh, that they don't shock the average person. Mechanized cavalry, though, are different. They're military machines that often have a lancer behind the controls, a pilot on the same level as the knights of old, or flying ace of old. The mechs operate on an entirely different level to anything else in Lancer. Powered, armored hulks of incredible strength, packed full of advanced systems and weapons, a mech is capable of far more than a person on foot. Grant their pilots the ability to perform feats of incredible strength, speed, and resilience when skill alone is. Your Lancer, or mech skills that represent the. Oh, Winwood Dice had a player's mech meltdown during a combat encounter. They managed to escape, and a team used the resulting explosion against the enemy. That's awesome here. And Winwood Dice, it's actually good to see you popping in. I was actually, I gave you a follow earlier just as well there too. So it's actually good to see you come in. I'm thankful for you coming in and by. Winwood Dice is a streamer or TTRPG podcaster, and also does podcasts on gaming streams too. So if you could give Winwood Dice some love just as well, any follows would be appreciated. That'd be very, very kind of you as well. But it's good to see you, Win. How are you doing today? How fares the day? I guess this is just the last day of February. How time flies, huh? Appreciate you stopping by. Hope you're having a good day. But yeah, no, we've had a few times where mechs. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but a lot of my players like to play mechs that burn the brightest and also explode the loudest sometimes. Thanks, I had to swing by when I heard there was Lancer stuff going on. I'm glad to have you here. My wife, Neferia, though, she played a Manticore and was planning on using the Manticore's passive ability to do the big explosion that they can do if their system gets pushed to the limit. Thankfully, it never came to pass, but still, few times there where she might have used the kill switch, which is funny. Yeah, thanks for dropping by. We're just talking a little bit of Lancer, just reading through the book right now. And for those that are in the chat that have the comp cons up, we're also going to be explaining a bit about the mech skills. So let's go ahead on this. So your Lancer has 4 skills, or 4 mech skills that represent their ability to build, pilot, and fight with mechs. Hull describes your ability to build and pilot durable, structurally sound mechs that can take punches and keep going. Agility describes your ability to build and pilot fast, evasive mechs. Systems describes your ability to build and pilot advanced mechs with powerful electronic warfare capabilities. And engineering describes your ability to build and pilot mechs with effective reactors, supplies, and support systems. So mech skills go from +0 to +6 and are used in these following ways. Instead of triggers, when you make skill checks that directly utilize a mech, an example, if you wanted to punch something with a mech, you should roll hull instead of pilot trigger like assault. In mech combat, especially when making saves, or for additional bonuses when building a mech. When you make a roll that calls for one of these skills, you add the skill's relevant number to your roll. So, hull. Roll hull when smashing through or pulverizing obstacles, vehicles, or buildings, lifting, dragging, pushing, or hurling an enormous amount of weight, grabbing or wrestling mechs, starships, or mech-sized creatures, resisting a huge amount of force, or staying upright in cataclysmic weather. Roll agility when chasing, pursuing, or fleeing with incredible speed, performing acrobatics with your mech, hiding or moving silently, performing a feat of fine manual dexterity with your mech, or dodging out of the way of danger. You can roll systems when infiltrating hardened and powerful electronic systems and targets, including other mechs, boosting or suppressing a signal, engaging in electronic warfare, scanning or analyzing information, boosting or weakening the electronic systems of vehicles, mechs, starships, or bases, and interacting safely with electronic lifeforms, or analyzing the nature of unfamiliar electronic systems. In engineering, you can roll that when pushing your mech past its limits, mentioned that earlier, withstanding extreme conditions such as heat, cold, void, or radiation, using your mech's reactors, like a forge, keeping your mech running well past its breaking point, or for extreme amounts of time, traveling or moving safely through hazardous or hostile conditions, boosting the reactor output of other mechs, starships, or bases, or conserving and efficiently using ammo, power, and other. You can think of these almost like the D&D stats, but more related to your mech. Cool thing with mechs. Mechs are powerful machines, but what makes them more powerful and your character more unique than other pilots is your ability to source and combine mech weapons, parts, and gear from many different manufacturers. Mechs and Lancers are modular. Each frame comes with a list of license-restricted gear that once unlocked can be freely swapped between all of your mechs. Because of this, customizability, pilots are as much experts at building their machines as they are piloting. Pilots' access to more and better parts increases with their license level. When your pilot's license level increases to a maximum of 12, you gain +1 license rank that you can spend on a license from a mech manufacturer. Manufacturers offer a range of different licenses, all of which have 3 tiers: rank 1, rank 2, and rank 3 that must be bought in order. Every new rank you obtain unlocks various systems, such as weapons and even mechs. At rank 2, you get a new mech frame, and rank 3 gives you access to most advanced components. These weapons and systems are interchangeable. You can add as many as your mech as its frame can support from any license rank you have. For example, license level 5 character with licenses for the IPSN Raleigh and the with Shimano Core Metal Mark have access to every piece of gear from rank 1 to 3 Raleigh license and all the gears from rank 2 Metal Mark license. You take the Raleigh's rank 1 handgun, put it on the Metal Mark frame, or take the Metal Mark's rail rifle, put it on the Raleigh, mixing and matching it. That being said, all pilots, even at license level 0, have access to the 1 Everest frame and the GM. At first, this will be the only available gear to you. Until your character gains some license levels and unlock new licenses, GMS parts are galactic standards useful for even high license level pilots. Now, good distinction for this, without limits, you never lose access to mechs or gear that you're licensed to use. Your pilot is assumed to almost always have access to it by one means or another, whether influence, patronage, wealth, or rank. Accessing licensed equipment is made even easier by advancements in 3D printing. In Lancer, it's possible to print entire mechs wholesale. Even if your mech is destroyed in battle, they can easily print a replacement during downtime. Which comes into this whole thing about the future, about this post-scarcity environment, or hopefully that you're in, and just the advance itself. Lots of technological advances in the future as far as Lancer is concerned, but still an area where you're going to be fighting against very difficult, wild odds. Oh boy. What I'm going to do here, we're in the middle of talking about mech structure at the moment, and I have been going for about an hour and 40. Gotta take a little break just to take a bite of food and also drink some coffee. I'll leave the music going, but I'm going to put the Be Right Back scene on, and if you guys like, I'm just going to really quickly take a quick check on the bun, get some food. I'll be right back. Moment. Okay. Okay. Bah. I'm back. Whoop. So, I guess wanted to check in. How's everyone doing in the chat? Y'all enjoying this? This is a bit of a weird one, like a weird stream to do, I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't really thinking much of it, but well, I've seen a few VTubers do like the read throughs of the game rules and stuff. And it's just like, I don't know. I thought it would be kind of a like interesting like one-off thing, but how are you guys enjoying it? Is it somewhat cool, learning a little bit about the system, that kind of thing? Drinking some coffee at the moment here. Also, we are listening to the Endless Space 2 soundtrack as well. One of my personal favorites, just as far as soundtracks are concerned for a lot of sci-fi. I would use this a lot for. So if it's giving a good atmospheric vibe, hope that's the case for y'all. I am filled with coffee and strength now. Oh, still. Feels like almost 2 hours have passed at this point. That's wild. I hope you guys are enjoying it. If you're learning a little bit about Lancer, that's great. Good so far. Are you also going into making a character with comp on? Yes, yes, I will. I'm just gonna go over a little bit of like the making a character stuff. Once I get to about the creation example, that's when I'll hop onto that, and you guys can be able to go over with that. I'll talk about like different characters, different builds, a few different characters I've made for Lancer, or I've seen made from Lancer, for like a few games that I've ran as well. So we'll go a little bit into that and talk about some of the manufacturers and what they're about to. I'll try a level 0 character. I'll put in a license level and show you guys what the license levels can give. Let's go ahead and talk a bit about this mech structure. So most mechs have 2 arms and 2 legs, but you can modify this basic structure however you choose within reason. Just ask your GM. Your mech's overall look, structure, and layout have no bearing on gameplay. Let's go through each mech component in detail. Frames, basic structure and components of a mech is its chassis, armor, and mounts. It is called its frame. Mech's frame determines its appearance, size, function, defining it as anything from a heavy siege engine to an agile flyer, or even a cloaking mech specialized in electronic warfare. These effects are expressed by a frame's trait. Think about choosing a frame as more or less choosing the mech that your character is going to pilot. Remember that you're not limited to just one frame. You can acquire a new one or new ones by unlocking rank 2 licenses. In game terms, a frame is a mech's modular base. It determines your mech's size, armor, and other specifications, as well as its ability or its available weapon mounts and capacity. Frame also comes with a unique core system, a powerful special ability that can typically only be used once per mission. Size. All mech's characters, objects on the battlefield have a size that describes how large they are in grid spaces on each side, rounded up to 1 if smaller, so a size 1/2 and size 1 character occupy the same space. Size is an abstract measurement, doesn't describe a precise height and width of feet, but the space a character controls around them. Humans and the smallest mechs are size 1, most mechs are size half. Most mechs are size 1, but some are as large as size 3. There's even a few that are size 4, but we won't get into that today. Mech's armor reduces all incoming damage by that amount, excluding some special types of damage. Armor mostly depends on your mech's frame and never goes above 4. Mechs can only carry a limited number of weapons determined by the frame. Trying to install too many weapons in their supporting systems places far too much stress on the mech structure and reactor. Each mech frame has a few different numbers and different types of mounts. To add a weapon to your mech, you need to you need an available mount of the right type and size. You can, however, add smaller weapons to large mounts. For example, you can add a main or auxiliary weapon to a heavy mount, or add 2 auxiliary weapons to a main auxiliary mount. Frames can have the following types of mounts. There are main mounts that can take 1 main or auxiliary weapon, heavy mounts which can take 1 heavy main or auxiliary, aux mounts which can take 2 auxiliary weapons, main aux mounts which can only take 1 main weapon and 1 auxiliary weapon or 2 auxiliary weapons. Flex mounts can either take 1 main weapon or up to 2 auxiliary weapons. Integrated mounts are designed around specific weapons built into frames. They're automatically included in the list of weapons which cannot be removed, replaced, or modified in any way. My personal favorite, and probably Zork's personal favorite, super heavy weapons, which are especially large, which require both a heavy mount and one other mount of any size. Weapons mounted on a mech aren't necessarily attached to the chassis. They can be slung in holsters, built in compartments, or held normally. You can decide how your mech's weapons are mounted. It has no effect on. Talk a little bit about the weapons. Mech weapons have 3 traits: size, type, and damage. Auxiliary weapons are the smallest mech weapons, lined up to use alongside any larger weapons. Melee weapons are the standardized. Heavy weapons are larger. Oh, thank you very much for the follow there, Nyatailed Waifu. Appreciate you. And super heavy weapons are very large weapons with high power requirements. They're usually rare or highly advanced. I forgot to do this a while back. You're good, no problem. Also, much love to the Kitsune there. Thank you. So all weapons have a type that describes their general range and combat function. Melee weapons are mech-scaled swords, axes, power tools, and other hand-to-hand weapons. Mech's raw strength can turn even crude tools into forces to be reckoned with. CQB, or close quarters battle weapons, are those designed for close range combat, including pistols, shotguns, flamethrowers, or more exotic weapons like this. They have short range but are better for reacting quickly to emergency. Rifles are sturdy weapons with good range and stopping power. Launchers are weapons that fire missiles, grenades, or other projectiles. Cannons are high caliber weapons for inflicting heavy damage on enemies. What they lack in precision, they usually make up for in power. And Nexus weapons are reservoirs and projectors for swarms of self-propelled armed drones. Damage. Most weapons deal 1 of 3 kinds of damage: kinetic, explosive, or energy. Some special weapons also deal heat, which does harm to a mech's internal systems, or burn, which is damage over time, which is more explained in the harm section. You got system points. Mech frames also have a set number of system points, SP. SP can be spent to add extra systems to your mech, and some heavier weapons require both mounts and SP. You cannot add systems to your mech that would cause you to exceed your available SP. Your paladin's crit, equal to half their license levels, add to your total system points, and you gain an additional system point for every 2 points in systems. Then, one of the more fun things, core systems. Every frame comes with a core system. These powerful abilities are unique to each frame, can't be transferred to other mechs, and in most cases can only be used once a mission by consuming core power. CP refers to a reservoir of highly efficient reactor power designed to be used in a quick burst. This reservoir is essential to the high-powered systems mechs used in emergency situations and heavy action. At any given time, a mech either has CP or doesn't. There's no way to save it up or store extra CP aside from some rare equipment. Instead, you get core power when you start a mission or your mech receives a full repair. Sometimes, if you're lucky, the GM might grant you core power during a mission. There'll be a few things I'm going to talk to us about here. We'll go just really briefly over some stats like base, like HP and structure. Your mech has HP, per health bar. That's their physical durability. But they also have structure. All mechs have structure for the players. What that means is your mech, each mech that you make, says otherwise, has 4 health bars and are destroyed when they reach 0 structure. One thing about having those 4 health bars is, yes, that makes it so that way in order to have your mech destroyed, you have to go through all those health bars. That's what the enemy has to do. You'll be doing the same to your enemy. But whenever you lose a structure, you actually have to roll a structure damage check, which causes interesting things to happen. We'll get into that more later. The same can be said of your heat cap and stress. Remember that comment I made way earlier about your mech being a walking nuclear cold fusion bomb? That applies to this. Your mech also has 4 bars for their heat cap and stress. So whenever your mech goes over their heat cap, whether that be because they're overheating themselves, you're getting cooked by hacking attempts, or however, whenever you lose a stress, you also make a stress roll, which can have different consequences based on that. And if you reach 0 stress, your mech is also destroyed and might have some funny stuff happen because of that. Repair cap, that's actually the amount of repairs that you have that you can basically be able to field for your mech and be able to repair their HP or any lost systems in the middle of missions. Speed determines how many spaces your mech can move in a turn. Evasion is the number that an enemy mech has to hit in order to hit you when they roll for an attack. Sensors is your ability to detect other mechs or objects within certain areas. Line of sight is different. Sensors is specifically electronic warfare. Tech attack is the bonus that you apply on tech attack rolls instead of grit when you're doing electronic warfare as well. And E-defense is how hard it is for someone to try and hack you as far as your own system. And then save target is when you have to roll against like a particular mech save target for a particular ability. That's what you're going to be trying to meet or exceed whenever that happens. A few quick notes. Your grit adds to your mech's HP and save target, as well as your system points and attack rolls. For hull, those are part of the mech skills. For every point of hull, you get 2 HP per health bar for your mech. And for every 2 points of hull, you get an additional repair cap. For every point of agility, you actually increase your evasion for your mech. And for every 2 points, you increase your speed, which is your available move. For your systems, every point of systems increases your E defense and tech attack. And for every 2 points of systems, you get an extra system point for your mech to install more. And then for engineering, every point increases your heat cap. And for every 2 points, it gives you a +1 to any of your limited systems. Limited systems for that, or even some weapons. We'll go over talents and character creation. I think this is a good time for us to switch, especially with the music. We'll go ahead, switch over. So CompCon is your friend whenever you're playing LAN. This is a great tool for you to use when you're building your character. Go ahead, if you guys want to follow along, I'll show you how to build your character in CompCon and be able to get yourself up and running with your character at license level 0. I'll show you how to level up and also add some license levels onto that. We'll make a random character. We'll say, just for the purposes of this, we'll randomly generate it. Mitsunori Suffield. Sounds like a pretty cool name. As far as the call sign, Shame. We'll say that Shame is a good name for a mech. And let's pick a background. So from these, we'll say that Mitsunori was a criminal at some point. So pick the criminal background, and that's the CompCon does come with palette images. So if you want to, you could just use the image archive here to pick which character looks like. I'll go with our buddy here. Looks a little bit on the gritty side. Set this for the image, and we'll go to the races. So easy enough, it's going to go through the skills to be able to use for your skill triggers. We picked criminal, so I'll think things where I'm going to have more criminal tendencies. Let's pick something stealthy. I'm going to go act unseen or unheard, +1. He'll be someone where maybe with his like tech suite that he has, so he'll be able to read a situation, check if there's problems. Word on the street seems like think. You know what? We'll also make him a little bit of an assassin. So let's to take someone out. We pick those. If we wanted to, we could create a new skill trigger. That would be an option. But for the moment, we'll be fine with +2 to act unseen or heard, +2 to read a situation, +2 to take someone out, and +2 word on the street. Let's continue. So this is something we haven't touched base on just yet, but we have pilot talents. So these are the things, these are your feats if you're playing like Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder. I actually didn't know CompCon had pilot images. I've been mostly using it for NPCs. It's helpful. You can also upload it so that way you can have it for your own usage too. But yeah, no, they added that recently in the last like year or two, that they had like pilot images from the folks and the artists who actually made Lancer, which is pretty cool. So your talents actually are different abilities that make it so that way you have a feat tree for your mech. So you have different things that actually make your mech a little bit different, give you some extra boosts and abilities, and also different passive bonuses depending on. So we have a few. Ace is definitely for more people that do want to do flying, because flying is a thing with Lancer and mechs in general. Bonded gives you a little bit more ability to help out your allies. You pick a bond mate for yourself at level 1. And at the moment we can only take these to license level 1. Brawler, if you want to be able to be good at grappling and also doing unarmed attacks with your mech, that's what Brawler will give you some extra bonus to. Brutal, if you love crits and you feel lucky, you can roll a nat 20. This will be something that helps you out quite a bit as well, and also makes it so that way your crits are devastating. Crackshot, if you want to be good at rifles, long firing, from a distance at folks, Crackshot is your bag right there. Centimane, I mentioned the Nexus weapons. This makes it so that those weapons, the Nexus weapons, or a weapon that has the Nexus tag on it, are much more effective and have some really nasty effects when you critical hits. Combined arms, true strength combat. This is not the kind of music I want to have going at the moment. Go with Mass Effect. Okay. So, combined arms. If you like the idea of being engaged in direct combat with your enemies, fighting them close range, but also being able to use firearms at close range, that would be a good talent for you. Duelist, if you like using a main melee weapon and having the ability, like a fencer or battle master for Dungeons and Dragons, to have some benefits when you hit someone, inflicting different statuses or having different actions. One. Drone commander, if you use drones, which are a deployable system that you can actually maneuver around the battlefield, this will be your bag and actually make them hardier and more vicious in their attacks. Engineering, or engineer, if you like having a weapon to call your own that you can actually switch out the typing for, on a full repair, this would be your style. Executioner, if you like big melee weapons and hitting things real hard and everything around you as well, like Guts from Berserk, this is your stuff. Exemplar, if you like defending your comrades, giving them the ability to attack your enemies harder and also to duel those enemies to the death and force them to fight you, this would be a good one for that. Gunslinger, if you like using multiple small, like pistols or ranged weapons and firing that with them at incredible accuracy, this would be a good talent. Grease Monkey, if you like having a lot more for your reserve items, limited weapons and systems, and having the ability to have much more benefits and even supply drops in the middle of missions. Hacker, enough said. If you like to be able to hack and hack even better and use even more systems for this, this will give you a range of suites to choose. Heavy Gunner, if you like being that big, if you like being like the dude on top of a turret just raining down suppressive fire upon folks, Heavy Gunner is your bag. Hunter, if you like throwing weapons, if you like using like daggers and other small like melee weapons and being able to lunge at targets and also recall those weapons back to your hand at the end of your turn, that would be one thing. Infiltrator, if you like being a sneaky bee, this would be the talent for you. Juggernaut, if you like the thought of Kool-Aid manning your mech through a wall or different obstruction, this would be a good talent as well. Leader, if you like barking orders at your allies, giving them benefits, and acting like a bard. Or field commander, this would be your bag. Nuclear Cavalier, if you like pushing your mech to the heights of danger with your heat, playing fast and loose, and also getting definite benefits whenever you're in the danger zone, this would be something. Siege Specialist, if you like using cannons, blowing up terrain, and just having a big impact on the battlefield with cannons, this is your bag. Skirmisher, if you like playing fast and quick, like being able to dodge and weave through enemies and also be able to have a lot more movement whenever you attack and skirmish, this would be ideal. Spotter, if you'd like to be able to act as support for your team, being able to throw lock-ons on target and having your teams hit them more forcefully or more accurately, this would be your deal. Stormbringer, if you like launcher weapons and missiles and just unloading them like a Gundam anime with just multiple missiles ringing out from your launchers and just raining down on the. This is a cool talent for that. Tactician, if you like being able to have more benefits with your melee and range attacks and also having the ability to get the drop on your enemy as you're closing in on them, that's a good one as well. NHPs, if you like having multiple NHPs in your mech, helping you pilot your mech and even having more benefits because of that, that's also a good deal. Vanguard, if you like using CQB weapons or shotguns and being able to unload on people for like just moving in and out of your threat range, is a talent for you. And Walking Armory, if you like a little bit of variety and spice of life to change your ammo on the fly and have different effects for it, this is also. From what I was saying, we are making more of a stealth boy. So I'll go for Infiltrator 1 to get Prowl. Gives me a few benefits from just unlocking the talent. first. So during my turn, I gain the following benefits. Entering line of sight or of hostile characters moving from cover does not stop you from being hidden. You can pass freely through but not end your turn in enemy spaces. You can hide even in plain sight of enemies. These effects immediately end when your turn ends, so you lose hidden if you're still in line of sight or out of cover at that time. So it gives you the ability, these talents give you like different passives and cool abilities you can use to be able to influence the battlefield. Got Infiltrator 1. I'm going to take Hunter because I want this guy to be a little bit more of like a ninja assassin type. I'm going to take Hunter 1, which gives me Lunge. Once per round, when you attack with an auxiliary weapon, you fly up to 3 spaces directly towards the targeted character before the attack. This move ignores engagement and doesn't provoke reactions. Then I'll also take Skirmisher to be a little bit fast. And Skirmisher, when I take the rank 1 of that, gives me the ability to, at the start of my turn, I gain soft cover. I lose this cover if I attack or force another character to make a save. So that gives me, soft cover is something that gives you a benefit, like a difficulty when people are trying to attack you. So just starting my turn, activating combat, get soft cover, which makes it so that way people have a harder time to hit me on my. So I picked my talents. So I'm going to go to the next part, which is mech skills. It gives you all the different little benefits and what you get when you put more into your mech skill here. I'm going to dump all of my abilities into it to have more speed and also to have a higher evasion. And with that, for the moment, we have our character made. So, now we have our character made, we're ungrouped. But you can always divide these up into folders or make like a different group and can move around the campaign. Let's go ahead and click on Mitsunori Subfield. We got our basic stuff. We can get our gear loadout if we like. Gives you a few of the basic units of like what kind of gear you can have, like light hard suit, assault hard, heavy hard suit, mobility, and stealth. I'm probably gonna put the stealth hard suit on my character. It gives me a few different things. Doesn't give me an HP bonus, but it does make it so that way I'm fast and I can be when I'm on the field. Good. I can pick a pilot weapon. So any of these, you can always look into stats for them. A few light sidearms for my character here, and maybe like okay. Really, I'll probably go with light one. Then I got the weapons. You have your pilot gear, each of them having different abilities if you want to look over them. I know a little bit about what I can make. I'll read over some of the stuff that I would take for my pilot. This is strictly for my pilot and not for my mech. Camo cloth, square of reactive material that slowly shifts to reflect the surrounding environment, enough to cover a human comfortably. Transition takes about 10 seconds and makes anything hidden underneath very difficult. That. We're going for more of a stealth dude. So I'll also take this, which is an info skin. Reactive synthetic polymer with advanced qualities. Info skin bonds quickly to real skin and hair. Once applied, it responds to electronic signals delivered by links, rapidly changing its color and texture, even contorting and distorting its form, allowing wearers to make minor changes to the appearance. With InfoSkin, it's a simple matter to alter facial features, hair color, or makeup patterns. This is the, like, Game of Thrones, the faceless men kind of thing. Shift appearance. And I'll also take data plating. Data plating is general terms for comlink jewelry, subdermal netting, wearable jaw, brow, or maxillary plates, etc. that allows subvocal communication, persistent heads-up, and augmented reality displays without wearing a helmet. Data plates can quickly translate nearly any language and allow users to communicate with each other all but silently. If any of you guys have watched Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, whenever the Major or like Bato are talking in their heads and just talking without actually moving their lips, that's being done like with a data plating pretty much. So there we go. We have our basic equipment for our character, but we're not done yet. Now you get to do the fun part, which is building and putting on or putting together our mechs. So if you guys want to follow that, we'll go ahead and walk through here. So on the little back here, you can have your dossier, which has all your different character notes, your biography, appearance. Got your narrative profile, which gives you your base stats when you're out of your mech. Have your character stats. Tactical profile. Don't have any licenses, but this would be where it would show. Special equipment, if we have any. This is base like mech skills and our talents that we have access to for now. Now let's go to the mech hangar. Let's build our very first. We're going to add the new mech. We have only the Everest to be able to choose from because we're license level 0. We don't have any other mechs currently available. This is not the music I would want to have playing for this. What is going on? Ah. It was on Oblivion music. It went straight to their head. Let me... Considering we're talking about mechs, talking about characters, go ahead and throw in that. Whoa, that's loud. Yeah, it's a little bit too... Never mind. That's not quite the music I would want either. Okay. And 30 Sentinels. Or actually, we'll throw... That's a good... There we go. Okay. Cool. So now that we have this, let's take a look at what the Everest gives us here. The GMS balance frame Everest. Most humans don't think to ask about the history of the water they drink, the earth they walk, or the air they breathe, and yet, without water, earth, and air, there would be nowhere for humanity to make a home. Just the same, GMS SP1 Everest is often taken for granted. Its importance dismissed in favor of other more specialized frames. Plain and unpretentious mech defined by its simple lines, functional grace, universal compatibility, and sturdy bulk. The Everest is as fundamental to the modern mechanized chassis as the natural world is to life. The Everest isn't the most specialized mech, but it is the backbone of our expansion imperative. But on the loud side. Or maybe it's not. Okay. Maybe it's just loud in my ears. So, the Everest isn't the most specialized mech, but it is the backbone of our expansion imperative. From its shoulders, humanity steps. Prior to GMS's official adoption of the name Everest, was a used name given to the frame by its pilot. Mount Everest, or Sagarmatha, or Chomolungma, as it has been called in older human tongues, is the tallest mountain on Cradle, though not the most prominent peak in known space. nor even the greatest in Cradle's star system, yet pilots across the galaxy call their SP-1s by that ancient name. Why? Sentimental answer is that the name is a reminder of what was once the limit of human endurance, once the height of human achievement. To reach Everest summit was to defy death and stand atop the world, the culmination of months, even years of training, investment, and hard work. Reaching the peak was also a triumph of the people, systems, and institutions behind the individual. Triumph too often led unacknowledged or deliberately erased. Sagarmatha Chomalungma. Even before the fall, when the massive vaults were built, some names, some stories were given priority over others. The real story behind the Everest name is likely much less deliberate. Somewhere along the line, a newly graduated pilot, frustrated by GMS's plane naming conventions, painted Everest across the flank of their SP-1. Maybe it was a call sign, or maybe it represented the pride they felt at success. Either way, the name stuck. Others adopted the name, and over 5 centuries it grew to become the officially unofficial designation of the SP-1 chassis. Veteran pilots may never return to the Everest after moving on, but they'll always remember reaching that first summit, the mountaintop where they proved they could plant their own flag at the peak of the world. Sagarmatha, Chomalungma, Everest. So we got the basic stats of the Everest here. 4 structure, 4 stress. Nice. Armor is 0. HP 10, which is reasonable. That's a good HP total. Evasion 8, E-Defense 8, which is average. Heat capacity 6, which is a little low. Sensors 10, pretty awesome for a fast mech. Tech attack 0, repair capacity 5, save target 10, speed 4, system point 6. Average in just about every way. It is an average in some of its abilities right off the bat. Initiative. Once per scene, the Everest may take any quick action as a free action, which is pretty darn crazy if you really think about it. There's a lot of action economy in Lancer, a lot of action economy in role-playing games, general combat. This makes it so that when you're talking about the turn order, you had a move, you get 2 quick actions or a full action, you have your reaction for the turn, protocol they can do at the start of the turn for free, and then you have free actions as well. This can turn a quick action that you can make on your turn into a free action, so you get more quick actions to use, which is already very powerful on its own. It's a great ability. Replaceable parts. While resting, the Everest can be repaired at a rate of 1 repair per 1 structure damage instead of 2 repairs. Generally, if you're trying to repair your mech, you gotta use 2 repairs in order to recover a structure. This one makes it a lot easier. Got a main mount, a flex mount, and a heavy mount. Lots of different options for weapons. And then for this, we also have a really awesome core power. The hyperspec fuel injector, the active called power up. For the rest of this scene, when you activate this core power, you gain +1 accuracy on all attacks, checks, and saves. Additionally, once per turn, you can boost as a free action. I didn't cover it just yet, but boosting basically means to double your movement. So once per turn, you can just boost for free. This thing is probably one of, if not the mobile mech that I've seen. There are many mechs that have much more specialized abilities, but this one, for what it is and what it can do, it's pretty darn fast. It's a really good mech for a starting build, and probably one of the mechs that you'll see, a lot of action from everyone who's so definitely worth it as far as just trying it out. I'll just throw some other music. Let's go ahead and talk up now, considering we talked about the Everest and we know what stats are. Let's go ahead and name our Everest. We'll call it the... A lot of these mech names that they randomize are kind of random. You can do whatever you like for it. Let's go with the first light. That seems pretty good. Let's register a new mech. We got the first light here. We're going to use this to build our mech at the moment. And let's see what we got for some options. So we got our primary, flex, main, heavy weapons. Let's go and throw some weapons on there. I'm going to be more of a melee dude, so I think I'm actually going to throw a bunch of auxiliary weapons onto here instead. Considering this is a flex mount, from the rules before, we can put a main weapon in there. I'm going to replace this with actually like multiple tactical. I'm also going to put in a segment knife, which is a energy knife. The tactical knives are physical kinetic based weapons. I'm throwing on a different energy based weapon just to have some variety. Something to be known, this does have a particular skill on it. Overkill. We'll talk about those later. What I'm just building is just my mech in the. And I think I'll throw in just another tack knife on there. And that should be fun. So we're making a knife build. Hey, what up, Ray Norvac? It's good to see you there, buddy. If you guys aren't following my friend Ray Norvac, he is a fellow Lancer playing in Zork's campaign. He is piloting the Eye Scander, which is pretty awesome. Longtime friend, good slime, a very, very chill slime at that, and just a very awesome person. Plays Dyson Spear, also plays quite a bit of, if I remember the game, Crab Champions when possible. But he's an overall swell guy. If you could give him some follows, that'd be very much appreciated. Ray Norvac, it's good to see you. We're actually just going through a little bit of character creation, mech creation, just in Lancer right now. So I got my weapons pretty much set in stone. Now we can go into our systems and be able to choose what we'd like from there. So a few things, you can see a few different items, populated in here. We do have the ability to fly when we attack with our knives because of Hunter. I'm going to throw a rapid burst jump jet there anyway, just to have that as a backup even when I'm not using my knives. I'm going to take personalizations. There's a few things. Each of these systems has different costs to it. It has different effects when you have it equipped. We'll go over a little bit about what they for this and just be able to talk a bit about what provided with this. So, personalizations. You gain plus 2 HP, and in consultation with the G, you may establish a minor modification you have made. This mod has no numerical benefit beyond the additional HP it grants, but could provide other useful effects. If the GM agrees that this mod would help with either a pilot or mech skill check, you gain plus 1 accuracy for that check. This gives you plus 2 HP, and remember, those bonuses for HP are per bar. I'm going to throw that on here. We can go ahead. We have a certain amount of system points left. We have 3 left. We can pick a few more systems. Custom paint job is a great one. It costs 1 system point. When you would take structure damage, roll a d6. 6, you return 1 HP and ignore the damage. The hit simply scratched your paint. System can only be used once per each full repair. It is not a valid target for system destruction because obviously if this thing gets destroyed, you wouldn't even use that anyway. And then I have 2 more points. Considering we're trying to be a little bit more stealthy, I'll throw in a Pattern A smoke charge, which gives me some smoke grenades. So if I throw that on an area within 5, it actually causes everyone to benefit from soft cover. And then smoke mines, which also provide some other benefits too in a little bit of a bigger area. Equip that. And now, with that being said, we've set up our weapons. We've set up our systems. We have our talents and everything from license level 0. We start at license level 0 as well. We are all set, and this mech has been pretty much put through and completed for a license level 0 character. So you notice that I have 2 points in agility. My evasion, which was originally 8, it went up to 10. My speed, that was 4, went up to 5 because of my 2 points in agility. Because of personalizations, I do have a plus 2 HP per health bar, so that's 12 HP instead of the 10. So already a very fast, lightweight mech, capable of dishing out some good damage with knives and things at close range, and jumping away and using, the smoke charges to be able to hide itself and be able to not get targeted. Easy. Very, very simple. So we have that first mech. Got our character. If we wanted to, we could use this active mode to be able to go into like a start mission. So if you're ever playing Lancer at the table, or you're doing like a little online play of Lancer, you can start mission, you can equip your mech, first light, engage in combat mode. It'll give you all of your stats, all the different modifiers, everything that you can use with the mech, and what you can do on your turn, and making that very bite-sized and track character. Super awesome, very nice, and easily done. You can always hit end combat to get pulled out of this. We'll end the mission. And what do you know? We're all back in, don't have to worry about that. We're out of the mission, we're good to go. Now that we've made a character, now that we've made that license level 0, let's level the character up. Say we actually took a mission down, maybe even went through, just a mission for our first time. We got through the mission, we came back alive, we're good to go from there. We're awarded a license. So go to license level 1. I'm going to set the pilot level to that. We'll have a few different things that show that we need triggers when you level up. You can either choose to get another skill. You could get yourself a little bit diversified, or if you want to improve upon already existing skills. I'll go ahead and put another point in Act Unseen Birds. Now it's a +4 instead of a +2. Very simple, easy. That's taken care of. Now we'll go to our tactical dossier. Go into mech skills. I'm really liking this agility front that I have right now. I'm going to put another, have an even higher evasion. But you could put that point and put it to any of the abilities that you here if you'd like. I also need to get myself another talent point. I'm going to go into my talents. I could throw on an extra talent from a different talent tree if I wanted to. I could put Brutal on to make it so that way I get the first rank of Brutal. When you roll a 20 on a die for any attack, sometimes called a natural 20 and critical hit, you deal the maximum possible damage and bonus damage. That'd be great if I was doing a lot of damage. I'm doing a little bit more skirmishing, so I'll remove it. Instead, I'm just going to go to Skirmisher. I'm going to put Lockbreaker on and get that secondary talent rank. Lockbreaker. Or after you skirmish, including as a reaction, you may move spaces. This movement ignores engagement and doesn't actions. So my already fast character is now even faster, and whenever he attacks or does a skirmish, he can actually move before or after the attack. Pretty nice and making him more mobile. So I got that. Now let's go ahead and do a license. That means this. Now we can actually start building our character and putting ranks and different options here for different mech lines. Getting some extra skill, getting some extra gear, systems, weapons even, and diversifying ourselves a little bit to be more into a particular. So, let's go over a little bit about the different manufacturers we have here. You can see a few of them, IPS North Star. These guys would be traders, cargomen, and usually these mechs that are on this list will be more along the lines of using hull or being more hull focused. But a lot of these are very tough and sturdy mechs that are very good at close pitched fights. So pretty good in that way. I might be looking for something different. Smith Shimano Corpros. If you can think of like Arasaka from Cyberpunk 2077, where they're all about like gene modding and retrofitting humanity and advancing humanity's abilities and making them more cyborg. This is along those lines, very sleek and fast models for this. So very, very rapidly deploying, usually more along the stealth one, which is probably what I would go with. The horse frames, they're more like horse frames. The horse members are like a loosely aligned group of folks. They're all mainly like hackers, NHP specialists, and other people that live on like the dark web, practically. And these guys more function in that. They're esoteric mechs. They're very weird, varying, have a lot of different abilities, but usually are along the lines of like shock and awe and disruption for them. And then you got the Harrison Armory ones. These guys are much more futuristic, generally dealing with more heat-based, cases for them. And generally are very sturdy mechs at that. So taking a lot of punishment, but also being able to like absorb a lot of heat and using very advanced weaponry. I think I'm going to go with Smith Shimano, and I'm personally going to go with the Metal Mark. Well, you know what? Let's go with the Morning Cloak. The Morning Cloak frame, I just put in a point for the license level, so it gives me all the rank 1 abilities here. So I get Fold Knife, I get the Vijaya Rockets. So that's all part of that license rank for that frame there. So now that I've done that, I'll go ahead and go back to the character screen. Now I can go back into our mech. I have all the stuff done for that. I've leveled up. Now I can actually retrofit my mech, have a few more extra pieces here and items. Let's take off some of these weapons. Now that I have that license, I now have Fold Knife and the Vijaya Rockets from the first rank of the license. I can actually equip the Vijaya Rockets or the Fold Knives, which are auxiliary melee weapons. And they also add in this extra benefit. They're accurate, and they, on a critical hit, you may teleport 2 spaces in any direction after the attack resolves. So I'm going to equip 2 of these, make it a little bit more interesting with my character build. The Vijaya Rockets are an auxiliary weapon, so I could throw those on here as well, just as extra usage, just to have like a secondary weapon for self. And you know what? I think I'll probably throw one more fold knife in here just in case. And because I leveled up and I did have my grit go up as well, I do have an extra system point. I'll just throw that on manipulators and have an extra system to have character. And like that, we're finished. We've actually leveled up our character. We leveled ourselves up to license level 1, and we now have a character and a mech that has some of the upgraded license level benefits and a little bit more added stat. Let's see what happens when we get to license level 2. Just for the sake of art. Just for the sake of just... So now that I'm in license level 2, put some more points. I'm going to upgrade another beat a situation, have a little bit more ability to things coming at me or being able to threats or read a situation. Gotta go into mech skills. I'm gonna put another point into ability just for the sake of having a faster mech. I'm gonna go into talents. I'll go into hunter, and I'll unlock the second level of hunter, which gives me knife juggler. These talents making me much better and more effective in fight. Knife Juggler. All your auxiliary melee weapons gain thrown 5 if they don't have this property already, and if they already have thrown, increases to thrown 5 instead. It already makes it a much more longer ranged attack with a great. But now let's look at this other thing here. At the end of your turn, all weapons you have thrown this turn automatically return to you. So now not only am I throwing weapons, they're coming back, so I don't have to go and pick them up or have to figure out where they are in the field. I can actually just have them come back to me at the end of my... So now they got that. Let's go to licenses. I have license level 2. I have a license point. I could technically throw this in any mech I wanted to if I would prefer. I could throw it into the North Star ones. I could throw it into Horus. I could throw it to Harrison Armory. I could even throw it into a different mech inside the Smith Shimano mech line instead if I really want to do that. I'm not. I'm just going to go ahead and throw this into the Morning Cloak here. Now, what does this unlock? Morning Cloak frame is now unlocked for my character. That means I get this mech instead, which looks a little bit more flowy, a little bit more floaty. It's got a really cool look to it. Let's read a little bit about the Morning Striker frame. So, the Morning Cloak is a brand new model from SSC's Lux Iconic line and the manufacturer's newest close quarters combat and melee specialist frame. Morning Cloak emphasizes precision melee combat is commonly outfitted with a complement of shielded microfilament wires designed to act as an anti-armor slashing weapon. Designed by SSC's Exotic Materials Group based on data from early engagements against the Ascendant On and Boundary Garden, the Morning Cloak combines SSC's harvested excerpts of Dyad Paracode with adapted ionic firmament manipulation technology. Morning Cloak provides a prestigious and tactical option for situations where firearms are impractical and ordnance is unavailable. As part of the Lux Iconic line, Morning Cloak is a popular order in the baronies and among various high mana VIP security firms. Okay, lots of jargon with that, but big thing with that, anti-armor, and also deals in situations where firearms are impractical or ordnance is unavailable or not real. So it's a close range, stealthy kind of mech. So let's look at its stats. Each of these mechs have different stat lines with what they have. Let's look at what we're getting just by buying into the Morning Cloak frame. Structure 4, Stress 4, pretty standard stuff. Armor 0, didn't have armor before. Little bit less HP, so it is HP 8 instead of 10. Evasion is 12. It has a higher evasion stat than the GMS Everest did. E-defense is 6, so more likely to take a hacking attempt than be able to deal with it normally. Low heat cap. And you're like, well, that's a little bit of a trade-off. Sensors is 15, much better at detecting things within sensor range. Lower repair cap. Save target 10, speed 5. It's already faster than the Everest. And system 6. This mech, though, very different with its abilities. Hunter. Once per round, the Morning Cloak may deal 1d6 bonus damage on hit with a melee attack if its target has no adjacent characters, or if Morning Cloak is the only character adjacent to the target. So this one is good at isolating targets and making it so it deals more damage if it has the jump on. Dan Tasky, Monster Hunter. Hey Dan, it's good to see you, bud. Lancer is a good game, but still too crunchy for me. It is very much a crunchy game. That I definitely will concede. I personally like it for a bit of that crunchiness and a little bit more of the modularity of it, though. If you guys aren't following Dan Tasky, Monster Hunter, he is a Monster Hunter VTuber out to destroy the terrifying monsters of the world and also having fun while he does it. He plays quite a few different games, plays Baldur's Gate, as a variety streamer. You can find him on Twitch and also on TikTok as well. But if you do like some good variety content and a very nice voice as well, I would watch Dan Tansky, Monster Hunter. But how have you been, Dan? Hope you're having a good day. You're enjoying yourself, keeping cool, keeping the monsters at bay as well. Let's see. Too kind? Nah, not at all. Good, thanks. That's good to hear. Yeah, with this biotic components, Morning Cloak gains +1 accuracy on agility checks and saving throws because it's a nice, fast, like speedy mech. Got a flex mount, a main aux mount. Has one less mount than the Everest, but has a good amount of variability with them. Has also a different core power than the Everest as well. X Slipstream module makes it so that you have some better options. Let's look at this. And there's a lot of fluff in the core rulebook as well. Open only to highly licensed pilots, the X Slipstream program is a uniquely SSC innovation. The X Slipstream module itself is a miniaturized near light speed drive capable of transporting the user through blink space with acceptable accuracy. The technology is temperamental at best. Nothing smaller than a mech can survive the stress of exposed blink travel, and the experience is traumatic to both the user and anyone in close proximity. Gain passive, blink space jump as a full action. Teleport to a space within range 3d6. You don't require line of sight, but attempts to teleport to occupied spaces cause you to remain stationary and lose this action. If you roll the same number on all 3 dice, you disappear until your group rests, at which point you reappear nearby. That can be a little bit iffy on that, especially if that means that if your group rests, that means you have to wait until the combat ends to come back, which can be rough to say the least. And then active is stabilized singularity. This is the one that actually eats up the core power. For the rest of the scene, you teleport when you boost or make a standard move as a protocol. That makes it so that way you can teleport into different locations, teleport to different enemies, allies, and what have you whenever you move. Pretty darn cool. But let's see here. This gives us a few other suites, gives us systems we can use to hack with, or Singularity Motivator, which is another system as well we can use in reaction. Overall, some good stuff. So now that we've gotten the license level 2, instead, since we leveled ourselves up here, we can go to the mech hangar, add a new mech, and lo and behold, we have the Everest, which we'll always have, And we'll have the morning cloak, which is one we just added in. We'll call it the Magical Falls because fire and fornication wasn't exactly what I was thinking about for this. So now that we have that, we have access to our secondary mech. We can put that in here and we can start building up on the weapons that we have here as well. So I'm going to go with the fold knives here. Go with the fold knife and also the Vijaya rockets. Now we also have our other systems that we have just because we added in those different abilities and license level. We can add that in. We have the ability to add in our personalizations. We have a little bit more. We have, well, about the same amount of system points as before. So smoke charges, and that'll be it. So now we have our mech. We have our modified stuff. We're a lot faster with speed 17 and evasion 16. And it's all around better, like more specialized with what we're doing with this mech, but a lot more capabilities in what we want to do, which is sneaking, dodging, attacking with our auxiliary based weapons too. Yeah. Overall, that actually does it for character creation and a little bit about how Lancer is played. Talked a little bit about what the lore is for just base Lancer stuff. And I think next time what we'll do is we'll go a little bit more into the rules and we'll also talk about the lore of Lancer and what actually has led to this far-flung future of what we're dealing with now. If you enjoyed this, definitely, would love to hear feedback on it as well. If you guys want to see more of this content here. We are at the 3-hour mark, and I am actually feeling like I'm losing a little bit of steam. So I think I'm going to be able to call it here today. We'll probably find someone to raid into for the rest of the day as well. Whew, a little bit more of a talky stream. I'm glad you guys came through with this. I hope if anyone's interested in Lancer, you now have a little bit of some basic knowledge to be able to roll your character and have that for yourselves too. But yeah. I also hope you're enjoying the Vaporwave soundtracks, because I certainly am. It's pretty darn good. Yeah. Alright, so now that we've learned Lancer, now that we've done some stuff for that, and we've made a character, I'm gonna go ahead and try and see if I can find someone for us to raid into, and be able to chill out with for the rest of the day. Let's see who's currently playing and streaming right now. You know what? We'll go for something a little bit different, because I see one of my friends that I have not really been able to raid into is actually playing. So I'll actually go and say hello to them. If you're not familiar with this particular streamer, his name is Ghoulie. He's actually Void Queen's partner, and he's currently playing some Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So I'll be able to see a little bit of that, and we'll say hello to him and his peeps. Let's see where he is right now. But Ghoulie B is a Void Bunny VTuber. He's Resident Ghoulie of the Toy Box, and a little bit of a Thembo horror extraordinaire. We'll go say hello to Ghoulie then. Let's see. What should we have for the phrase? So if you have my follow, you can use the little Ooze emote. Little Ooze 030 emote. Julie, give us your rating to a Lancer near you. That would be an option. Yeah, you know what? We'll go with that. I think that's fine. I'll modify the message a little bit. Slime, Mecha Slime Raid. Alright. Go. We'll do that. Copy that a few different times. Alright. Y'all hold on to your hats. We'll go ahead and get the raid going. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me as long as you did. Go ahead and send Ghoulie some much favor and good RNG while he's playing some Final Fantasy VII. I do thank you for your time. Thank you all for staying in. Hope you take care, stay hydrated, stay safe. But thanks for coming in, and goodbye. Goodbye, everybody.